to the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. 40Gs, G's, ¿qué pasa en el terreno? Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo, a huevo. Doesn't matter where you from, Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere, todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos, empurgamos, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome to another therapy group session here on La Cuna Galaxiana. It's back. Sad Foo Hours are back here again, and today we're going to be reacting to the LA Galaxy's 2-1 away loss to the Chicago Fire on Saturday, June 1st. Yep, a loss, I said it, to the Chicago Fire, a reigning defeat at Soldier Field that the Galaxy should have won and lost due to their own defensive mistakes. As always, I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Jalón. You can find my written work at Extra Time, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And of course, right next to me, as always, or, you know, not next to me, but on the other side of the mic here is my co-host, as always, El Yerno Guapo, El Gitarno Pedrido. And coming back stateside very, very soon, Anandita Kirana. Papito, I would ask you how you are, but I know. So let me ask you instead for your one-word reaction off the bat. And chat, you know what it is. Go ahead and drop that one-word reaction in the chat. This ought to be entertaining.
Yeah, group therapy session, mad in effect, or as Raul G said, mad foos therapy session in effect. One word reaction. Let's see. So I don't know if it's a word, but like suckered in. You said it was I mean, shout out Darren because he said it was trap game.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Yeah,
it was, man. You.
And so I shouldn't have called it.
So we all got suckered, right? Like absolutely suckered. I got suckered into thinking, hey, this could be the first 3-game winning streak. This could be the turning point, not necessarily a turning point, but like a statement, right? A statement that the Galaxy are cementing themselves as a top 2, top 3 team in the Western Conference. But I don't know. We'll talk about it later, whether it was just it was fatigue, it was too much rotation, it was us trying to get into the 2-week break for whatever reason. It did not happen. So, but yeah, that's my word, man. Suckered. I had a lot of high hopes for this game, especially against a team like Chicago. Like you said in the top of the show, like, yes, I'm going to repeat myself. We lost to Chicago. So there you go.
Yeah, man. It was... I should have seen it coming. I mean, like, here's the thing. The Galaxy have done really, really well in getting over a bunch of, like, mental hurdles this year. I mean, they did SKC away. They finally beat Seattle. You know, they've come back from being behind a couple different times. We said it a bunch of times. La suerte del campeón, the luck of the champion, right? And eventually you can't ride that luck. You need to make your own luck. And they made their own luck. They shot themselves in the foot twice. So, you know, we'll my one word, self-imposed. And we should have known.
Yeah,
we should have known. Have you seen that clip where it's the Steve Porter remix of the Allen Iverson, like we talking about practice? Yeah. And the coach, like the Colts coach is like, no, wait. It's the Bears coach. He's like, Cardinals coach. He's like, the Bears were who we thought they were, you know? And so like sometimes you just go like, man, this is who this team is, you know, like they are making great strides, but I've said it a bunch of times, there are going to be growing pains, and we saw those growing pains. But we'll bring you more on that in a little bit. Anandita, go ahead and hit your thing, man. Do your thing.
Yeah, let me do some housekeeping, and then we've got some great one-word reactions here, so we'll get to chat in a little bit. But guys, you can always follow, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana, even if I'm on the other side of the world. Go ahead and do that. But I
Eat it.
will be back soon. And of course, you guys can always find us on all the socials at Lacuna Galaxiana. And of course, you guys have found us on YouTube. So thanks again for coming back, chat. And if you are listening to this for the first time, welcome. And if you guys and gals do like what you're listening to, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you know when we're live, just like we're on right now. And especially if you speak Spanish and you have your settings in Spanish, no te pierdas la emisión en directo. That's what it says on the notifications there. So that's really nice. You're gonna say something, Rob?
I was gonna say, si están escuchando este podcast y le gustaría más español, déjenos saber. Siempre nos olvidamos de hablar más español.
Yeah.
And it's something we got to get better at. Especially since we do say we're a bilingual pod. But vamos,
Yeah, exactly.
But chat, you know what? Call Sandra, man. Like, hey, you suck us haven't said a word in Spanish today, and call us on that. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Right back at you.
Yeah, lo siento a los tíos, los tías, los avis. Yeah, we need to speak more Spanish on this one since we are a bilingual pod. But there you go. Yeah, well, where was I? Oh, well, of course, as Robert always says, put someone on. And you know what? We have a candidate for, well, Crespo, you're going to be our prime minister of likes today because he said smash that like button, guys. So go ahead and hit that like button before y'all forget to the end of this video. And of course, Roberto, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Another group therapy session is in effect. It is, well, whether it's group therapy or mad foos therapy or sad foos therapy, however you want to call it, it's definitely in effect. And we're gonna have 2 weeks, but by 2 weeks to kind of linger over this loss. And it's not the way we wanted to end this stand, was it?
No,
we wanted to
I
get
don't
at least a point, better all three. But yeah, man. So let's get into this reaction. But before that, I am going to flash some of these one-word match reactions up. So
let's see what we got. Pathetic. Damn, that's harsh. Okay, you said it, not me. What else we got?
I'm gonna break the stride. Don Roll 96. Let's go.
Hey, Don Roll 96, of course.
Lame.
Lame. Oh, yeah, it wasn't a great performance for damn sure. What else we got? Yeah.
Nice.
You know what? After Joe came through and spoke to us about Barry's virtues, short as they may be sometimes, I do have an appreciation for him. So I'm not going to go there yet. I'm not going to go neg yet. What else we got?
Going back to the your Bears comment, I mean, they are who we thought we were. Well, he is what he thought he was, right? So he is what he is. He is what he is.
Well, you said it. He's a backup striker. It's like not. I mean, it's what he is, man. It's like no shade, and he's
yeah.
Anyway, let's keep it moving. What else we got?
Well, let's see. So El Venado says embarrassing.
Low key, yeah. I mean, it was a very, very poor Chicago team, and we'll talk about the shortcomings and what led to the loss in a minute.
Yeah.
And shout out everybody in chat who's thrown some questions out there. We see your Royce questions. We see your Vanny questions. Like thank you so much for them. We'll get there. For damn
Speaking
sure.
of backup striker, potentially. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, anything else to add, Ananda, before I get into these LA Galaxy community notes here, man?
Well, before we get to the LA Galaxy community notes, I did want to shout out because you didn't put it in the agenda, and I'm like, este panita. Of course, shout out to this kit right here for all you madridistas out there. So El 15, man, 15.
Yeah, I wouldn't
you gotta.
I wouldn't put that in the agenda, man.
You gotta shout that out. I mean, come on, 15 Champions Leagues, and then they're about to get Mbappe on top of that. Oof. Pero okay, so you're talking about real quick. You're talking about La Suerte de Campeón. Madre mía, La Suerte de Campeón.
Jesus.
I mean, this team.
Dortmund had him on the ropes.
This team in that competition is unreal, right? Like La Suerte full, man. Like Dortmund should have been 2 up in the first half. So anyways, got to throw that in there. Let's get into the community notes.
Well, my pop was very happy, and so that makes me happy. But That's where I'll leave it. Congratulations to you, though. That's a big achievement, an embarrassment of riches. Am I jealous because United doesn't have a player like Mbappe? Hey, whatever's. We didn't want him anyway. We'll take him when he's 35, like United usually does with Casemiro and Varane. But anyway, let's get into this, guys. I've told you about LA Taco. I will tell you again. It is important. It's local LA journalism. They deserve your support. They're bringing you the good stories about the LA community, and they're also giving you the best places to eat in Los Angeles. When you become a member, you also get free tacos. I think memberships start at $5.99. Look them up at lataco.com. And Ananda, you know that we tried to give away t-shirts. Well, we gave away one. Lil Apple, we haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to get that on the post soon. I was trying to give away the second one, and no one really stepped up to claim it. So I guess we're going to, try to give it away again at some point. But Little Apple, watch out for your shirt. That one is coming. So I don't know why we couldn't give away a Don Raul 96 shirt, man. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, I mean, even Leo tried to claim himself as Edward, and we had a lot of like those sort of backdoor submissions. But I'm sure. I mean, even Crespo is like, "Hey, I'll take it." Yeah, we'll figure it out, Crespo. We'll figure it out, chat. How we're gonna redraw it, but it'll happen sooner than later. Because I mean, man, we got a T-shirt to give away, and 2 non-claimers. Come on.
I was literally looking at the emails every day and just looking at it please someone claim it. It's a dope shirt. He's all Thanos like with the 5 rings, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was Gary or Crespo or one of you guys suggested that we just do a live draw with everyone in chat. I think that's a great idea, man. Just
that's a good one, actually.
Give love to the guys and the guys and gals that mess with us on a daily, and you know what? That might be a good idea.
I love it.
Let's note that, Rob.
Well, we'll set it up and let you guys know officially when that might be, and that way you can be in chat. But yeah, thank you. Like Ananda said, the folks that mess with us on the daily, thank you guys so much again. And yes, we will give away that t-shirt somehow, some way. Keeping it moving here. Happy birthday to Chicharito. It was his birthday yesterday. The former Galaxy captain played for LA 76 times. He scored 38 goals and notched 6 assists. Imaginemos cosas chingonas, man. The good times were good. It's still kind of sad that he went out the way he did, and we never got to give him that proper send off. But he's back with his boyhood club, so I'm guessing he's happy. So happy birthday to Chicharito and all the good memories. All-Star game voting is now open. Make sure and vote. Some people out there are advocating for you not to vote for G's and keep them home and potentially uninjured. I can't tell you what to do, especially because I don't know on a personal level if it's important for these players to be named to the All-Star team. Maybe they have bonuses in their contract that stipulate, hey, if you get named to the All-Star team, you level up or something like that. So I don't know if it's important to them, but again, if you're a fan, you now have the right to vote. And again, I can't tell you what to do, but it's nice to see the Galaxy get some recognition. It's nice when they get named to the team of the week. So imagine what it's like if we have 1, 2, 3 All-Stars. And of course, people are again saying keep them home, potentially uninjured. But for these games, what do they play 20 minutes, 25 minutes at that, and then they have the rotations and subs like that. So anyway, again, can't tell you what to do, but vote wisely. That's all I gotta say. And Ananda, what would you do? What's your modus operandi for this, something like this?
For voting or how they choose the 11, you mean?
Yeah, well, no. I just mean what would you? Are you voting for Galaxy players on this, or have you chosen your 11?
Oh yeah, I'll be shameless. Don't worry, man. I'm shameless. So of course I'm gonna rep my team. I'm gonna be shameless about it. I'm gonna be tribal about it. Yeah, 100%.
So who are your All-Star picks right now?
Just in general, or from the Galaxy?
For the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, I it's got to be at least the 3 DPs on there, but definitely probably. I mean, for sure, Pooch. And yeah, I mean, again, I'm shameless, so I would vote for all 3, but Realistically, I'm assuming that based on fan voting, and then JP's been in and out of the lineup, Gabriel Peck, just based on, remember, this is a popularity contest at the end of the day, right? So it's got to be probably Ricky Poo just gonna get out of there.
Basically.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Don use one of his like commissioner picks to pick somebody like Mark Delgado, man, who's having a fantastic season, and he's criminally underrated. Everybody knows he's a fantastic player, but again, when you have 3 stars on your team in the attacking roles, like the Killer Peas, the 3 DPs right there, maybe you're gonna go fly under the radar. I mean, just like Gaston Brugman does. But I would love to see the Don pick Mark.
Well, good thing we're not in the Eastern Conference, because 5 of those picks would be Inter Miami, right? So
all day.
exactly.
Oh, they didn't vote in Luisito. He's got to be there. Oh, they didn't vote in Busquets. Yeah, he's got to be there. Jordi, come through. We got you in here as well. But it'll be fun to see who ends up on that squad. It's a fun match to watch. But anyway, keeping it moving. Another fun match to watch and great memories to be had is the ACB San Jose away trip happening on June 29th. That will take you to the Stanford game, the yearly LA Galaxy San Jose Earthquakes game at Stanford Stadium that usually sells out, usually has a big fireworks show. This bus will leave on the 29th and come home on June 30th. Go ahead and talk to your favorite ACBer to get more information and find out how to get on the bus. We've told you guys about this one, but we want to see you out there and having fun. Comets is throwing a Juneteenth event on Saturday, June 15th. That one starts at 3:30. It's going to be a barbecue-style tailgate. So go ahead and go get your grub on and make sure and bring a plate through. Just don't put any raisins in the potato salad. That's going to get you thrown out, y'all. G's Run LA is doing their thing. They're doing a combo event here with G Cycling Club. That's a bike ride and run on June 8th, happening at Boulevard Gastropub in Compton, meeting up at 7:30 a.m. and leaving at 8 a.m. sharp. And I believe they mean that. 8 a.m. sharp, be there. They're also doing that 5K we've told you guys about, happening on July 6th at Absolution Brew. 96 Lucky G's will be involved in the first 5K. It's capping at 96 participants, so go ahead and sign up if you haven't already. Guys, let's go ahead and give you your VCFC update. They won their last match at home. They defeated the Tacoma Defiance 3-2. You had goals by Gino Vivi, who, it seems like every other week we're calling out a goal by Gino Vivi, which is great to see. Isaiah Parente and Ruben Ramos had the other 2. It was also announced that it would be Marcus Furcanis' last game. So we have told you about Marcus most likely leaving from Australia, and that looks to be manifesting now. We're expecting an official announcement any moment. VCFC's next match is away to Portland Timbers 2. Then they'll be on the road for another. This will be the first match of that 2-game road stand will be on June 9th on Sunday. And guys, it was kind of a busy day in big Galaxy news, because there's potentially a Champions League legend coming to the Galaxy, and also it seems like the Galaxy have a new technical director, and this one is something I kind of should have known was coming, Ananda, because I was trolling the LA Galaxy job boards the other day, probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and I did see the open post there for the LA Galaxy looking for a new technical director, and it looks like they might have found one. Reports out of Denmark state that the Galaxy has signed SC Copenhagen's Mikael Denscher. Denscher was a first-team scout. He's 34, and he's expected to take the role vacated by Jovan Kirovski. Reports out there that's going to be a 3-year deal, and I would imagine that he's probably going to slot in somewhere between Will and Greg in the hierarchy, kind of the way Jovan was. But if it's anything to go by, if his current team or his previous team is anything to go by, Copenhagen, I'm willing to see what this has in store. Copenhagen has done pretty well in the Champions League for being a smaller club. There are serial winners in the Danish league, and he's going to be an integral part now of the setup. I mean, it's basically going to be Will and him, man. So, Nando, what do you think about this, man?
Honestly, I have no opinion because I have no idea who this guy is, right? So I kind of don't want to like speak out of turn and then like talk about people I really don't know. I mean, I'm assuming Will and the staff have done the homework on them. And I'm assuming he has, you know, a scouting network at some point. It's interesting though, like you get a different profile to a guy like Jovan in the past, which he's got his contacts with sort of the bigger leagues, right? He's got contacts with sort of the bigger names versus this guy. Again, we don't know his Rolodex, but you assume that he's when working for Copenhagen, so his contacts are probably more developmental, like meaning his scouting networks are looking at leagues that are more developmental and seeing if they can get sort of that next up and coming youngster, right? I could be wrong about that, but again, I'm going to trust Will and his staff, and I'm assuming they did their homework on this guy.
Well, he's very highly touted. I admittedly before today, I didn't know who this cat was, right? So, and as soon as this broke, you know, I started like kind of looking into him. So he's very, very well regarded, and so it'll be interesting to see how he fits in and what exactly his role is. And like you said, trust Will. So far, he's done miracles on us, and one more miracle that he might be about to pull off, or it might not be a miracle depending on how you look at it, is the signing of a certain German legend, Marco Reus. Those rumors are heating up something awful. Ananda, really quick, you know, what if just tell me yes or no if you would do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see what we know so far. Cesar Luis Merlo, Tommy Boger, and Fab Romano have been the big names to report on this so far. Members of the Galaxy front office and members of the Charlotte's front office were at the Champions League final. They both had conversations with Reus's agent. According to Manuel Veth, Charlotte offered $4 million, while the LA Galaxy, because of their financial constraints and the fact they have 3 DP players already, can only offer Reus about 1.7 million. So, of course, when it became evident that Reus did not want to play in Charlotte, the two teams at that point went to the bargaining table to agree a fee for Charlotte's discovery rights. It's been reported that that's topping out at $350K, and it's interesting because, you know, and usually in these kinds of transactions, they only get the money if the player signs, but because this was such a high profile player, it looks like even if Reus hadn't signed, Charlotte would have gotten some of the money promised. So that was just an interesting tidbit. And it was also reported that it would be probably the most expensive transfer for discovery rights, but I believe that was Paul Arriola. I believe that was $500K. So it didn't end up being the most expensive. It's funny. I wonder how they got that down to that price, right? That $350K versus, you know, like $650K. That would have been, you know, the record. But so once they agreed the fee, $350K, or the reported fee, the Galaxy were free to make a verbal offer, which they did. They offered Reus a contract till December 2025 with the year option. Negotiations apparently are ongoing, and since, again, the Galaxy can only offer him 1.7 versus something like 4 million, which Charlotte offered, they intend to make that up in sponsorships and endorsements. At Galaxy Fan Talk had an interesting way of describing it: TAM plus sponsorship deal. And, you know, it's also comes from competition as well, because Reus had offers to stay in Europe or go to Saudi. And, of course, I asked you at the top of this, would you take Reus? And, you know, you answered very, very quickly yes, and I'm assuming it's because the cat's a legend. I mean, he 12 years at Borussia Dortmund, a one club guy, a guy that could have gone to other teams and stayed loyal. 170 goals for Dortmund, also had 131 assists, and, you know, I don't think if you have the opportunity to sign him for you know that TAM max, you do it, man. Just what you get from his experience and his leadership is invaluable. Chat, I asked Ananda what he would do. Would you guys do it? Or do you guys think the Galaxy should be looking at other positions here? I know a lot of people online were saying don't do it. Go for a striker instead. Go for a second striker. So chat, go ahead and let us know if you would sign Marco Reus, given the fact that he's available to come on that tab and he's willing to come, or would you invest the money on a U22 striker, perhaps? Ananda, now that I've said, hey, would you do it? Yes or no? Now I'm giving you the qualifier. Would you do this, or would you maybe take a U22 striker that's promising?
I would still do this. Pretty clearly.
All right. Well, I'm assuming you have some reasons why.
Yeah, no, I do. So I do have the stat chart. So you know me and stats, man. I always got to do my stats on these player profiles. But yeah, chat, go ahead and go, answer Rob's question there. Well, look, Gary's down because look, he says he's going to be the new sponsor for El Pescador, Robert. So there you go.
Who, Raquinho?
Well, well, that too, maybe. No, man, Fried Royce. Anyways, so all right, guys, I'm gonna pull up these stats here because you know me and stats and my obsession with them. But when I look at Royce as a player, I mean, we know he's quality, right? So I'm just gonna pull this up here. But and this is these are the stats from FBref. But you look at just as sort of his attacking stats and where he ranks. I mean, he is an elite attacker even at his age, right? So this is stats from last year. So this is the last year in the league. He's in the 91st percentile for non-penalty XG. So he creates a lot, but he also can score. 95th percentile for assists. So Rob, he averages an assist about every 2 games. So he's a major chance creator. And you look at let's see, you look at his pass completion, so very, very tidy player. One thing that's a little surprising, man, 91st percent in tackles at 2. I think that's because Dortmund play a high pressing gegenpressing system, so they do win balls like high up the pitch. But again, you think of sometimes when Greg Vanney sort of deploys a little bit more of a high pressure system in certain situations, in certain game states, like he's more than comfortable in that, like even at his age, right? You're probably not going to ask him to do that for 90 minutes, but he can do it in spurts, right? And when there's waves of pressure. But man, like it's funny because when we first talked about Marco Reus, and this was a couple of shows ago, I kind of poo-pooed the idea. I even tweeted about it. I poo-pooed the idea because I initially thought that he wouldn't come as a DP signing and he would come in for that money. And of course, for us, like we already have our 3 DPs, especially Ricky sort of affirming that with that contract extension that was recently announced. So I kind of dismissed it, to be honest. I didn't think it was real. But if you take him, because remember with MLS, it's always how much, right? And the value that you're getting out of these contracts. So now that you're looking to him in supplement, not instead of, but as a supplement to what we already have and as a TAM deal, I think this is a coup, and I think this is a little bit of a no-brainer. I mean, Will Kuntz has always talked about, this is way back when I remember over the summer, Rob, he's always talked about market opportunities, right? Well, Rob, this is a market opportunity, right? And I think getting him on a TAM deal, especially with sure, he's on the older side, but I think it's low risk and high upside, just given the fact that he is a supplement to the players that we already have. And so I look at it from that perspective. It's like, how could you not sign a player of this quality, right? So I kind of started rearranging my mind and thinking about it in that sense. And you know what, man, as a TAM player, the good thing about it is, remember, my concern was always minutes and durability, right? Well, as a non-DP, there's less pressure to heavily rely on him for 90 minutes week in and week out, right? And the thing is, when do you need these guys the most, Robert? I mean, we've seen these signings in the past. I have to bring this up, but look at players like Chiellini, Gareth Bale, some of these other like older sort of non-DP signings, but then they get them over the line when it matters most, right? So you think about it, you keep this guy fresh, and then when you get to MLS Cup, we know he's a big game player. I mean, he's played 2 Champions League finals, he's won 3 German Cups, right? When you need a big game player, when you need that extra bit of technical quality to break you. I mean, how many times this year have we needed that extra bit of quality in the final third, right? This is the guy that's going to carry you through it. And I mean, I'm going to pause there for a second because there are some other like skill set things that I think are interesting for this team. But what do you think, man? I know I've been kind of waxing lyrical about this guy, but do you think it's a no-brainer, like how I'm thinking about it?
First, I want to answer Gary's question. That is strawberry horchata, my man. Very delicious, delectable. I would even say. Um, it's hard not to like it for the price, given his
Right.
quality, given his experience, given what he brings to the team, his adaptability, but also it brings concerns. Obviously the big one is he's been injury prone before in his career, and then the second one is his age. But you did say, as a TAM player, you're not expected to go ahead and be the guy.
That's right.
So there's obviously, like, yes, I would do it, but there's that caveat. I'm just always going to be looking at him. How you feeling, Marco? Did you go to the massage, Marco? Have you gotten treatment, Marco? Like, are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Can I carry you to the car, Marco? Like I'm just always going to be worried that he's going to be injured. But I would do it. It's a no brainer, just for
Yeah.
the price, for you know what you're getting. It's invaluable, and not only that, but it's a guy that has a winning culture. And I said it years ago that a team like LAFC brought in Giorgio Chiellini because Giorgio Chiellini had won at the highest level, and then at some point he did help get them over the hump, So this is the Galaxy bringing in proven winners again, trying to win that trying to build that winning culture once again. But I know that you like formations and systems and stuff like that. So where do you think Royce slots in? What does he bring? You mentioned his quality. What does he bring to the Galaxy, and where does he slot in?
Well, that's the beauty, right? He basically slots in on any of the four attacking positions, Rob. And so his versatility to me is one of the key sort of assets. I mean, I even mentioned that about Griezmann. He's a guy that can play in any of the top four and even on any role. So, for example, you can play Royce as a cam, you can play Royce as a false nine, you can play him as a second striker, you can play him out in the wing, sort of in the capacity of Fagundes, right? With the guy that likes to create in, or as we've seen a lot this Bundesliga season, Rob, and even you and I have watched you and I, there's the first one.
Oh,
There we
got him,
go.
champ.
We've
You and I.
There it is. Hey, you know what? I kind of want to purposely do it because that song is fire, right?
Fire.
Um, anyways, so I mean, we've seen, Jadon Sancho and him link up so many times this Bundesliga season. He's a guy that ghosts into the box, and
Don't say
one of
Jadon Sancho at me.
well, actually, you know what? He is a thorn in Man United side. I mean, that's the thing, Rob. You guys, anyways, I don't even want to get down that rabbit hole because we know that United kills careers, folks. But anyways,
Oh, don't you do it now. Don't you do it now.
but I mean, think about all those cutbacks that we've had this year, Rob, and a guy like Marco Reus ghosting into the box with his technique. I mean, he's an amazing striker of the ball. I mean, if you've ever watch his highlights, chat. I mean, he is with that instep, he is an amazing striker of the ball. And
Yeah.
let me give you
His
two
last Dortmund goal was a peach.
Oh, absolute peach. Well, speaking of his last Dortmund goal, so here's two things that I'll bring up. If you're not convinced, chat, if you're not convinced, Rob, I think you are convinced, Rob, but one is just his vision and his ability to play make. And this is what that's going to do. It's going to relieve a lot of pressure on Ricky Puig trying to, in certain games, play hero ball, right? So now we've got another guy that can play make, and that's beautiful. And he play makes in sort of a different way. I mean, his cross, his weak side or back post cross is insane, man. His delivery. And speaking of his delivery, what's the one thing that we don't have like a specialist in on this team, Rob, in my opinion?
Offensively on set pieces, of course. Like
Exactly.
you're talking special teams all the time, and it'd be great to have a really good threat off of free kicks or off of corner kick deliveries.
Exactly.
Johnny was actually pretty serviceable the other day,
Yeah.
but it would be great to have a consistent striker of the ball that just served up, really, really good service into the box on corner kicks, in free kicks as well.
That's right. Yep. So yeah, I rest my case. Exactly. I mean, what a weapon to have again to break deadlocks. You know that especially in the playoffs, games are a little tighter, games are a little more scoring. You need a moment of magic to break the deadlock. Marco Reus, free kick. There you go.
All right. So it looks like by all indications that unless something calamitous happened, and Will Kuntz did say that whenever it's the closest to being done is when it's at most danger of falling apart. He did let us know that. So it looks like that's at the stage where it is right now. by all indications, it's very, very close. I mean, Galaxy and Royce's representatives are negotiating. If if I were a betting man, I would say that it gets done, and Marco Royce becomes the newest member of the LA Galaxy. But until I see that official announcement from the Galaxy, until I get that press conference stating, "Hey, we've made it official. Marco Royce is here." We keep on waiting.
Yeah, we keep on waiting. So now we gotta get into the thick of group therapy, right, Rob? Unfortunately,
Why you do that to me, man?
from a positive story to back down to earth.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like, man, if the rest of things happen, Galaxy fans are gonna be over the moon, But we do got to talk about this trap game, trap game. What you gonna do? Yes, I'm unfortunately, I called it last pod. I said, I hope I don't jinx them, but this could be that trap game. It ended up being the trap game. Ananda, the Galaxy lost this one 2-1. After they scored first all year, they have been the team that's come back from a losing score. This time it was Chicago, who just facts. I mean, they just played better. They wanted it more. They looked more hungry. But let's start where we all start, man. Let's go with the lineup.
Yeah, lineup, and that was a big point of contention, right, for this match, Robert. I mean, a lot of rotation. Was it expected? Probably, but in hindsight, of course, hindsight's always 2020. It did not get us the result we want. Of course, Mitrovic was back in the sticks, which I didn't think he had a bad game. I don't think any of those 2 goals were his fault. By the way, he had a pretty solid game, made 2 saves.
I don't know about that second one.
I mean, that second one off the post, and we'll talk about that goal later. But man, off the post, I think that was just a really, really good strike. I don't think any keeper saving that, to be fair. Miguel Berry up top. We'll talk about him later. It was unbelievable. Like I think it was Gary Cameron said that. And let's see who else. So Yoshida and Cáceres. So Neil, I think Greg talked about it post-match. Neil, he was trying to manage his minutes because he's got a very, very busy upcoming next couple of weeks, especially with the U.S. men's national team. And then Cerrillo back in there because Gaston Brugman, as you found out, we found out post-match, he is out for 7 to 10 days, right, with the bone bruise. So, and those are the changes. And of course, as you see on the screen there, the boy from Pico, Johnny Perez, got his first
Pico.
Got his first start. Yep.
He did get his first start, and I had an opportunity to ask Craig about it post game. I asked him if it was a reward for a good cameo, and Greg said that, and I quote, "It's a reward for not just the last match, but he's trained really well. He's been really dynamic. I think he came on in the last game and he looked good. He's put a lot of work to get this opportunity. It's not so easy for a young winger when you have 2 DP wingers that are ahead of him. So we earned the opportunity. We wanted to also take a look at where he's at and what he's going to bring as we move forward into the second half of the season. This was an opportunity to take that look at him, so we earned it, and he certainly didn't hurt his chances. So congratulations to Johnny. I mean, it's whenever he does come on and he plays, he takes his chances. I mean, in the last game, he probably should have had an assist. Maya got robbed there of a goal. In this one, I think just, again, if you have that Marco Rose type player that's ghosting in the box, maybe he finishes off one of Johnny's chances, but it wasn't to be. But yeah, I liked his game. And like you said, we, in terms of rotation, Greg spoke about that too. He said it was, just management, trying to get some guys healthy. You did mention Jalen. He didn't want to overload him because, like you mentioned, he does have the U.S. national team camp. With Dayon, it was kind of the same. Greg mentioned that he's had a stop and start season, so they only wanted to use him for 30 or 40 minutes. He didn't want to force it. And so, that was basically Greg's thinking on the rotation. And what it led to was a Galaxy loss. they played the Galaxy, that is, played their 10th road match of 2024, and they lost 2-1 to one of the East's poorest teams. The loss snaps the Galaxy's 6th game unbeaten streak. Riqui Puig scored the only goal of the game for the Galaxy off of penalty, and that marks his 4th career penalty kick. That makes it 4-6 for the Galaxy now. LA is 3 for 6 on penalty kick attempts during 2024. They're getting a little better, and they hold a 3-3-4 road record. Ananda, we've talked about the penalty thing. Ricky strode up to it confidently, and he drilled it. Do you think finally they found the guy to take him? I know he missed one already, but he strode up and he dispatched confidently. Are you thinking that he's the guy now, or does it fall back to Joseph Paintsil?
I think it falls back to the pecking order still. Joseph Paintsil, and I mean, I don't know why Decky doesn't take more. I mean, he's the striker, right? I have more confidence in a striker taking penalties because, he hits through the ball as well. By the way, Rob, there you go. Marco Royce coming back in. I mean, that he would be another potential penalty taker as well, right? I don't know probably should know what his penalty record is, but I know he's taken penalties before. But yeah, I mean, credit to Ricky though. This is one of his ones that he actually hit through the ball, and it was a good penalty. It was a strong penalty, and went on his favored left side, kind of hooking it in. And but yeah, I think we got to go back to Greg's got to establish. I think just for organization and even like confidence wise, I think he's got to go back to the rotation.
Yeah, it's one of those things like set pieces that we've talked about. Imagine where the Galaxy would be if they had been able to dispatch those penalties. And something that we always talk about, they got out to an early lead. They're on the road. They're expected to win this game, and they just kind of go on kind of like cruise control. They don't seem to have any of that urgency. A mix up at the back, literally a whiff on a clearance by Maya, a failed clearance that falls to Hugo Kuipers, who slides just ever so slightly, is shot past Mikovic, and it's tied up completely against the run of play. And from that moment, it all shifted. Did you feel it?
Yeah, it was a play that came against or was a goal that came against the run of play, right? And yeah, unfortunately, after that point, it's funny because when it first happened, I was a little taken aback a little bit, like sort of that Dallas goal that we gave up, right? Completely against the run of play. But I wasn't worried. But then as soon as the next, I would say, progression, the next sort of 30-40 minutes progressed, that's when I got worried because it was really our performance level. And on top of that, maybe we'll have a chance to talk about it today, or later. But I mean, the goal, their second goal, we had a lot of chances before that, man. And I thought we didn't capitalize on any of them. And then, of course, as so is the game that we love, it comes back to bite us and we get bitten by it. So there you go.
Well, like you said, came back to bite us. And what it is those self-imposed mistakes. Edwin Cerrillo gives away a pass in the second half, and it goes directly to Brian Gutierrez. El Guti drives up midfield and just unleashes a shot from about 30, 35, 40. And you mentioned that you don't think Mikovic could have done more with it. I mean, I think that Guti is far enough out that maybe he could have gotten to this, but it doesn't really matter what we think. It happened. Galaxy are now behind 2-1, and that's the way it would end. But Ananda, you have some stats to kind of pile on to the utter misery that was this game.
Yeah, unfortunately. Let's see here. So let me pull that up there. So I will read this out for the audio listeners. So again, if you look at the stats, Rob, this is a game that we should have had, but as we'll talk about later, with all the possession and all the quote unquote dominance that we have, I think the stats on this one versus the eye test, they don't match up, and I think they're a little misleading. So key stats here: 64% possession for the Galaxy, 36% possession for Chicago. Expected goals 1.55 to 0.98, so pretty even there. But of course, we did not end up on top with a score sheet. 14 shots for the LA Galaxy with 4 on target and 2 big chances. 11 total shots for the Chicago Fire, 4 on target, 2 big chances. Both we missed 1 big chance. And the passing, again, if you look at just the passing stats, you would say, oh, typical LA Galaxy dominant possession-based performance, right? 656 connected passes versus 350, so almost double the percentage of the connected passes, or double the amount. But again, I think you will talk about, so I'll leave that point to you, Rob, but it was passes that were pretty much ineffective, right? And then 16 fouls committed for Chicago to 6 for the LA Galaxy. 5 corners for the Galaxy versus 2 for Chicago. The fouls committed one is interesting, Rob, because I think one of the points that I think turned this game moment by moment is there was a period there, I think, after we scored the first goal, they were putting in some hard challenges against us and Ricky, and I think it was an instruction from their coach, and I think it fired them up. It just, I know they were probably frustrated, but I think it was one of those things where, on their end, they had to up their aggression levels. They had to get in our faces. They had to up the energy. And you saw that, and they committed a couple of really hard challenges. I remember one on Ricky in the center of the pitch where the other guy got the yellow card. And I think that sort of aggression and energy, especially at home, I think that turned the tide slowly, and it got, it sort of raised the tails of Chicago, and it led to our demise, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know what I thought was unfortunate is that even like you mentioned, they started putting in those hard tackles. They get the goal, and I felt a noticeable shift at that point. I really think they just played down to their competition. They let Chicago grow into the game and have that belief that we can play with this team. And on when the Galaxy is firing on all cylinders, there should be no reason why this game ends in a Galaxy loss. Unfortunately, they weren't firing on all cylinders, right? Because after the first goal, you saw them kind of take their foot off the gas. I mean, there was only 4 shots on target in the entire match for the Galaxy. They had more passes in their own half, 319 to 337. I mean, it was a lot of possession, like you mentioned, 600 plus passes. But I mean, I said it out loud, and good old Kobe just looked at me like, this poor guy. I said all that possession, and it's not going anywhere right now. And again, I just really think they just play down to Chicago's level. I don't want to make excuses for them, but it definitely showed on them that this was the third match in the week. They just couldn't get up for it, and more than anything, you saw them making the silly defensive mistakes that they were making last year that they had started to cut out. But these are the things that happen when your body is tired, your mind is tired. Both these goals come from mistakes. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny too because what you're talking about, especially with the passing. I mean, again, you know me, I always listen to Joe Tutino's match summary at the end of the radio stream, and he called out the same thing as well. Rob, he said, the Galaxy had double the amount of passes, but most of those passes were in our defensive half that really didn't amount to nothing. It was just like a lot of sideways and backwards, right? Which is, Greg even talked about this after the last game in the post match. He wants his players to look forward and progress the ball right up the pitch and look up versus having to resort backwards and sideways and not getting anywhere. And what that actually does, especially with a hungry team, as it looked like with Chicago, was it actually invites pressure. Right, you go all the way back to the keeper. It actually invites pressure, and that's not what you want. You want to stay in the front foot and be dominant and have that threat in and behind and in the attack. And that's not what we do. Yeah, I think playing down to Chicago's level, I think that's an interesting one. I think that's like a mentality thing, and that's something we got to fix as well. But like you said, Robert, maybe it was fatigue. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put too many excuses on this, but we've got to chalk it up to something. And we'll talk about it a little later, that we might chalk it up to something else that maybe was a controlling factor.
Oh man, you caught me unawares. I'm like, ooh, what could it be? I'm gonna be as surprised as Chad is. What could it be, Chad? I don't even know. Yeah, man, it was poor. Somebody said earlier, it was not what this team can play like, but it did not surprise me because I called it out. Trap game. Don't let it be a trap game. And
Self-imposed, like you said in the one word match reaction, right? Self-imposed
yeah,
with more mistakes. Silly.
you're,
And Maya,
you've
I
been
think.
up. I'll go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say you've been up on the homie Edwin Cerrillo, and he's played fantastic all season. So it
Yeah.
was very surprising to see that giveaway for Chicago's second goal. I mean, it just I was literally had my mouth open like, wow, that was
Yeah,
crazy. I
well,
did not expect it.
I want to go back to a point. I remember this comment distinctly. I think it was after RSL, and it was the post match press conference with Greg, and he was talking about, there's times when we're chasing a game, we feel like we've got to get that goal right away, and it lends us, especially the younger players. Like I think I remember I was talking about it in the context of Julian last time, but in this case, Edwin, it's like you don't, you need to just believe in what the system is and what we've been coaching and what Greg's been preaching, right? Instead of trying to make that killer pass, instead of trying to try so hard to get that extra goal or to get that additional goal like right away, you just keep doing what you've been doing and what you've been training on all week. And Edwin, in that particular, he's a great passer, but I think he just tried to force it too much. And again, a lot of that has to do with what Greg is talking about, which is just trying to try too hard, if that makes sense, and trying to get back into the game too quickly versus just letting the game flow and just building up chances and working within the system, right?
Well, XPH is in the chat with a very, very valid question, and it's been a question that's been bandied about online. It's been a question that some people say isn't important. Some people are saying that it's very important. XPH asks, sorry, can't speak today. Should we be worried that they can't win 3 games in a row? I'm confident they'll make the playoffs, but it's troublesome. They can't get over that hump. They're going to need to win 3 games to win MLS Cup or win any silverware.
Right.
So they're going to need to get over that hump. We've seen them get over some mental humps already this year. Hopefully they can. Every single time they get to it, it's they get to 2 games and then it's kind of a gross performance. I mean, they didn't play up to their ability against LAFC when they had an opportunity to do it. They didn't play up to their standard when they had an opportunity to do it against Chicago. Last year, there was an opportunity to do it. They had been playing fantastic football and then got to that 3-game streak. Didn't happen. So is it a mental thing? Is it something else? I wasn't going to choose violence today, but Ananda had a query. So Ananda, I'll let you take it away.
Well, I'm going to leave it to chat as well. But Rob, since you're the one always asking the questions, I do want your take on this because, again, this is something I saw a lot of chatter about this post match on whether it was X, I saw it on YouTube comments, I saw it in wherever, right? Instagram. I think that I forgot which page does that, but they do like the fan reactions, right? They do like these little graphics that they put together. But chat, I'm just going to leave this one with you guys. And Rob, I want your take on this. But, you think about, let me do the setup. So, you think about, so again, I put on there, I flashed on the screen, is Vanny to blame for the loss? Well, think about a couple of factors, right? Of course, he started Berry, which, a lot of people, the jury's still out, obviously. I mean, he was unbelievable, like Gary Cambron said. Not sitting Maya, for example. He's an Iron Man for sure, but of course he did make that mistake. So was hindsight 2020 or did he make a mistake of not sitting Maya? Remember, he subbed out Johnny Perez, who was having probably the best game out of all the Galaxy players. He looked the most dangerous. Rob, remember that one play where he just sat that defender down on that left-hand side? Unfortunately, there was no one to connect at the end of it. Miguel Berry, to me, did not make the right run. But again, that goes back to the Miguel Berry point. And of course, he subbed in Diego in like the minuto que 80 y algo, right? So I'm like, you know,
Maybe
could he
second.
have subbed in? Could he have subbed in Diego earlier? So there's all these things that you look at and you say, of course, hindsight for me is always 2020, but you look at and you say, could he have managed that better? Could he have managed that rotation better? Especially knowing, as I said in the last pod, knowing that you'd have a 2-week break after, right? So could he have taken a little bit more of a risk? And going back to XPH's point, you know, get over that hump. We've got to win 3 games in the playoffs. It's almost like a mental block, right? If you don't get over that mental block, you know, half of this game, a lot of this game is about mentality, Rob. And if you can't get over that mental block, how are we going to get over it in the playoffs? So maybe just from a psyche standpoint, could he have taken more of a risk, right? So again, not sure. What do you think?
I don't make the paper to make these decisions, but it seems to me that you have a couple things to throw in as a factor. You mentioned the 2-week break. You look at Chicago on paper and you think, you know, hey, this is a game that I should be able to rotate. You know, I should be able to bring in some players that you know need some time. So on the Maya point, I did call it out last pod as well. This guy has played every single minute of the season. And I was like, hey, isn't this guy tired? Isn't Abuelito tired? You know, like give that cat a break. You know, you have Emilio Garces on the bench.
Right.
You know, you have Jalen Neal on the bench who, you know, maybe you give each of them a half. You know, you have options is what I'm saying for Maya. You know, Greg was mentioning on Dayon, they only had 30 or 40 in them. Great. Give them the half, give them the 40 minutes. I don't care. But you know, you go with your striker that's you know that's hot. Maybe that isn't great substitutions, but you know, you get what you can out of Dayon, and if you can get 40 out of him, I'm sure you can get the 45 out of him, right? Again, mystifying why he subs Johnny Pettis out, who had been having a great game. You don't really see that a lot in Galaxy players, the ability to take on players one-on-one and do it, you know, really, really well. It's unlucky that no one was on the end of that cross. Maybe a little bit his fault as well, but yeah, why do you bring Johnny Pettis off and then try the two striker system? What is I mean, I didn't see that. I didn't see that working. I don't know why it happened. And then you mentioned about Diego. Yeah, you don't give him enough time to make an impact. I mean, give him 20. Give him, you know, give him the 20. But
Yeah,
you know, is Danny to blame for this loss? I saw somebody say 70-30. I think that he contributed to the loss. The players also let him down. There were some players who just did not play well. Edwin,
I like the way you put that. I like the way you put that, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Maya normally very reliable. Son and normally very reliable. Gives the ball away for a goal. You know, the attack wasn't ticking over. Gabriel Peck wasn't his normal self. Ricky Puig also got hit a couple times, and after that, you know, he tried a couple times, but he just kept on getting bodied. So yeah, I mean, is it Greg's fault? Not entirely. Everyone shares the blame in this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Gary said 70-30. I'd probably say 50-50, to be honest. I mean, he always talks about. I heard something the other day that I thought was really, really interesting. And it's very, very elementary, honestly, and like it's one of those things where you think about like, oh, what is the word breakfast? Like to break your fast right after you sleep, right? You're like, oh, ding ding, right? But you know, the job of the coach is to set up the team and put them on the field with the best chance to play to their ultimate potential and put them in the position to win, right? But then, like Gary said, players need to execute, and these players did not execute. But it was going to happen. I mean, growing pains. This team hasn't gotten over that final hump yet to be where they want to be, but they are. Man, it's tough watching them kind of like claw out of the fog of the past 10 years. And again, the mental block of the 3 game, man. I don't even know what else to say about it. Is this me and Mike Gray, Miggy Gris talked about this at the last home Galaxy game, And in the moment I was like, I don't think it's that important, but now I'm absolutely seeing what it's actually doing to their mentals, man. But Ananda, you gave a take. I had a take, but let's hear from the Galaxy community out there and see what they had to say about this match.
Yep. Actually, so Herb, we're going to answer that question because that is a really, really good question. Actually, I don't know if you want to do that now, Rob, or you want to flash the match reactions.
Ooh, no. I'll do it now. It totally depends on what he does in the second half of the year. I mean, it's we always say, like, ask me in a month, ask me in a month and a half. Now, for this one, it's definitely ask me at the end of the year, because you look at this Greg Vanney led team and they've made great strides over last year, but they're still going through those growing pains to become that elite team. It's interesting to see, like, where you think the standard is. Are you saying, like, if he doesn't win MLS Cup, he needs to be fired, or would you be content with making the final or the semifinal, Western Conference semifinal? It depends who you lose to as well, because if you're Greg Vanney and you go up against LAFC in the Western Conference final, well, you've lost to LAFC in the playoffs already. Yeah. So are you the man to take the Galaxy forward if you lose that Western Conference final to your rival? There's a lot of variables on this one. If for me, if he takes a team, again, if he progresses the team, which means I believe he makes the Western Conference final or Western Conference finals, right?
Yep.
Right. Then I'll be happy. I'm not even saying win it. I'm saying make it. But I am a big believer in organic growth. So people might be saying, like, hey, Rob, you're too much of a conformist. We should be aiming for MLS Cup. I'm also a realist, and we're seeing this team and who they are. And again, they need to win 3 games, and they haven't done that yet. So that's probably the third game, right? Western Conference Finals, the third game.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. And my answer is very simple.
Was that
yes. Yeah, my answer is very simple. It's yes until he does something to whether it's damage his reputation or not hit his because I'm sure every coach has a remit, right? I don't know what his remit is from Will Kuntz. I'm not sure. But as you said, if it's, let's just assume that the remit is like make the Western Conference Finals or MLS Cup, whatever that is. So I think the answer is yes until he doesn't hit his remit, right? And again, we don't know what that is, so we can all speculate, right? So yeah, I think he has to do something that is, whether it's lose the confidence of the team or just lose the motivation of the team, and that's a first sign that you've got to sack the manager. But yeah, if he doesn't meet his objectives, then I think he'll be gone at that point, which we don't know what that is exactly. So
yeah, and probably no one will find out what that remit is. But yeah, well, this was a tough loss. A lot of people took it out there very, very hard. The Vanney Boo Boys came back out. There was a lot of people saying it's time for a change, and which is why a lot of people were asking the questions: was it his fault? But let's see what Galaxy fans out there had to say. At Class Trend said, I miss Joseph Paintsil. I do too. We all sing a song, and I want him to come back and score so we can sing a song. What else we got? Leslie G. Leslie, who was out in Chicago, actually was there in person to see the LA Galaxy put in this flat performance. She says, we're making Chicago look better than they are. Absolutely. The LA Galaxy definitely play down to them. And yeah, I know Jamie Pham from 12 Threads says, how many goals have been from giveaways in their own half? A lot of self-imposed mistakes. We have talked about it, and that's one of the things that are going to kill them come playoff time if they cannot fix. The Portuguese Hammer, who we see twice here coming up, we'll see him again. It says, no worries. Oh, I love the optimism. No worries. Second half, LA Galaxy will take care of this. I said something about it as well. The Galaxy are a better second half team. I expect them to resolve this. The meme here is, with all due respect, it's worked 150 times. Well, like I said, la suerte del campeón se les acabó. They ran out of that good luck, and they weren't able to go ahead and get back in this game. At Anthony M_M9 says, no way LA Galaxy losing to a team that hasn't won since April. Well, all of it was wrong today. The only good part was the first 15 minutes. Everything else was grass. Yeah. They started well and they tapered off. It was very dispiriting to see. Edgar Nag says, in case you missed our match preview, shout out Nag boys. This was the first time in 14 years that Chicago Fire beat the LA Galaxy. It was a long time. I suppose it had to happen at some point.
Wow.
14 years is a long time. At LA as our house says, two sides to every coin. On one side, you could say 3 games in 8 days, fatigue and rotation played a factor. Vanny made ... decisions, weather didn't help. The other side of the coin, it's effing Chicago. Loss shouldn't have happened.
Yep.
Our good friend Michelle Hutink says, Chicago Fire get a win at home since April, and we give it to them. LA Galaxy blew a lead. Team should be used to the road by now. Sloppy play, all the problems evident. Vandy's rotation questionable when there's no game for 2 weeks. Yeah, we did mention it and
talked about that.
It's kind of questionable for sure. And then the Hammer comes back here, spotted the early goal when reality sets in. That is, spotted the early goal. Hammer, I'm sending you hugs. I thought it was going to happen as well, and then reality set in for me as well. The Hammer says, spotted the early goal and then completely lost focus and couldn't figure it out. They'll need to find the right squad rotation for the second half of the season with plenty of 3-game weeks. Yeah, the games are going to come thick and fast. There's a whole tournament coming up called the Leagues Cup. Figure it out. Of course, they have some reinforcements coming apparently. H. Shout out, man. Love the stickers. Leave it to the LA Galaxy to make the last place teams look elite. Yeah, when they went to Austin was in the dumps, and they put in a flat performance against Austin.
Yep.
And Austin has been flying ever since.
And we were there to experience that one. SADA.
Yes. Yes. Oh man, yeah, we're gonna have to bring that one back for St. Louis if that happens. Zero cool. Chris Tucker, shout out to the Carolinas right here. Lay this one directly at Vanny's feet. He also goes on to say, maybe that 3 in a row thing is really a mental block.
Yep, talked about it.
For show, it is.
I love this one.
Joanna Inguanzo. Someone tell their abuelita to do Olympia on Greg Vanny so his curse can be broken. God, I want that. I want them to get that 3-game win streak so bad, and it's like the Galaxy now. Like they're looking for the game and they're just very impatient, and then it leads to mistakes. Mario Rise of Marseille says, how the F are we supposed to win MLS Cup if Greg Vanny can't win 3 games in a row to save his life?
Yep.
Well, mathematically speaking, I think they need to win 4 to win MLS Cup. So you're right. They need to get the 3rd so they can get the 4th. Miguel Gris says, can't emphasize enough how big of a matchup RSL versus LA will be in 3 weeks. It is going to be a big one. Now the Galaxy are 5 points behind RSL with this loss. It was tough to pick defending the badge candidates, man. We watch this game and we see, a lot of this team put in flat performances, but we must pick defending the badge nominees. And here are your nominees for this week. We have Johnny Perez, who made his first career MLS start. He won 4 of 7 duels, had 3 possessions, completed 2 of 3 dribbles, and made 23 of 25 passes for a 92% pass accuracy rating. You have Ricky Puig playing the corner flag like a guitar, recorded a goal for his 3rd consecutive match. He created 3 chances. He had a 90% pass accuracy rating, 3 dribbles, won 7 of 13 duels, had 6 possessions, and was fouled 3 times. He was sandwiched on one of those plays. It was ridiculous, and no foul was given. In 12 matches played dating back to March 23rd, he has 12 goal contributions. So he is putting up numbers right now. Mark, I called him out for being criminally underrated. Again, he puts in a solid performance in this one. 2 chances created, an interception, 85 and 98 passes completed, 4 recoveries, and 6 ground duels. And then because he actually shone pretty brightly, he kind of did a Johnny Perez and had a good cameo. Mauricio Cuevas had 13 of 14 accurate passes, 1 chance created, 2 passes in the final third, and really what should have been a game-tying pass to Diego Fagundes. He put in a really good cross, and Diego fluffs his lines on that one. But chat, let us know who you would pick for defending the badge. Your nominees are Mau Cuevas, Mark Delgado, Johnny Perez, and Ricky Puig. Decinos quién crees que es el defending the badge winner. ¿Quién defendió el escudo? Lo más bonito que pudieron. Ananda, who is your pick for this week?
Yeah, like you said, Rob, this is a tough one in terms of, I mean, it's kind of like, with the performance, like, who cares, right? Doesn't really matter. But I think we should give an honorable mention to the boy from Pico, to Johnny Perez. I thought remember, this was his MLS debut, guys, his first MLS start. I think he did a heck of a job. He put in an amazing 60-minute shift. It's unfortunate, too, because I feel like there was one passage of play right before Gutierrez scored his goal. Johnny Perez was clean through on his right foot, and unfortunately he did sky it over the bar. It was kind of point blank, and those are the developmental things that this kid needs to work on. Yeah, and that again, this was after we had 3 or 4 chances, Rob. There was a period there. I mean, Ricky sort of had a Trivela flubbed shot. Marky Delgado came into the box and he did a little pirouette, and he did sort of I don't know if it was like a cross shot, but that sort of squirted wide as well. So we had a lot of chances. Again, I was saying we were piling on the pressure and we just didn't get the breakthrough. And unfortunately, it came back to bite us on the other end. But back to Johnny, I mean, he had a lot of, I think, this year I've noticed he looks a different player. He looks a little bit more polished. He looks a little bit more confident. I feel like he's always had the speed and the trickery, but I think he's kind of starting to knit things together now. He looks physically a little bit stronger too, Rob. I think he's starting to handle physical challenges now, especially on that wing. So he looks a different player, and I mean, I think he's deserving of some playing time. I think hopefully Greg will give him, like he always says, the right developmental opportunities, the right points and moments in game. But for an MLS cameo, I mean, even the commentators were saying, Rob, on the broadcast, they were curious to see. I think it was Kalen Kyle on the broadcast, or I forgot exactly who it was, but they were curious to see what they would see out of Johnny Perez. And sort of halfway through the broadcast or his performance, they're saying, you know what, this kid's really showing something, especially after he sat down that defender. So really promising signs. And yeah, I think for his first MLS start, got to give him defending the badge.
Yeah, it was kind of tough, but I'm not going to disagree. I'm going to go ahead and say Johnny Perez as well. And it's not a surprise, really. It was really really between Ricky Puig and Johnny Perez. And Johnny Perez comes out on top after 59 million votes from all you G's out there. Johnny Perez comes out the winner with 52% of the vote, winning his first defending the badge for the LA Galaxy. Congratulations to the pride of Pico Rivera, Johnny Perez, for his first defending the badge. Well, where does that loss leave the LA Galaxy, Ananda? Through 17 matches played in 2024, now they hold a 7-3-7 record. They've scored 32 goals. They've given up 25. They're in 28. They have 28 points, and they dropped to 4th place in the Western Conference standings. They're 8th in the Supporter Shield. They're now 7 points back from leaders Miami. They still have a game in hand, and they are averaging 1.65 points per game. It would have been great if the LA Galaxy had been able to pick up this game, and then they'd be second place, and that RSL match would have been even spicier coming up. But it was not to be. Well, coming up, Lacuna Galaxians, the Galaxy will be on a 2-week break, which means we'll have a little break as well. There will be no show on June 6th. That'll be Thursday. So don't look for us on Thursday, but definitely go ahead and let some people know to subscribe, because we will be back on June 10th for our mid-season review. Hopefully we have some special guests to bring you for that one. So watch out for Monday, June 10th, our mid-season review at 9 p.m. And then after the break, the Galaxy is back at home, where they will host SKC on Saturday, June 15th at 7:30. The last match between these two teams was a 3-2 come from behind win on the road for the Galaxy. They started really poorly in that one, and they poured it on really thick at the end to come back and win 3-2, getting that win in years. We'll have a game preview for you on Thursday, June 13th at 9 p.m. And of course, we'll react to that match on Monday, June 17th at 9 p.m. So, Ananda, no LA Galaxy soccer for a couple weeks. That kind of makes me sad, man. I don't even know what to do with myself now on Thursday. I know you'll be flying home, but I'm just going to be sad that I won't be hanging out with all you guys in chat. But we will be back on June 10th. And on to anything else to add before we get on out of here?
Well, I always leave the last word to chat. Let me see here. Well, you know what, Rob, in response to that, it means at least that we don't have to see Miguel Perry play for some time. Anyways, enough Miguel Perry bashing there, but
play nice.
We will leave it. We will leave the last word as that. But no, chat, like I flashed there on the screen, go ahead and check us out on Monday where we will do a mid-season review. I think that's going to be an interesting one, Rob. If you had told me that we were going to be 7-3-7, again, not to spoil anything, I would say that's a pretty good start. But were there a lot of lost opportunities? Sure. And we'll go back and look at some of those lost opportunities and where we can improve in the second half of the season. So looking forward to that. So go ahead, guys, and tune in for that. And thank you, chat.
Shout out to Gary. Good luck on finals. You're going to kill it, G. You are an inspiration to us all. Go ahead and get that A, bro. Oh yeah, XPH, man. Yeah, you did miss it, man. We did speak about Raquinho. We went off for like 10 minutes on Raquinho and the wonderful ways he's changed my life. No, I'm just missing it. We mentioned briefly, but he's always in our hearts. So shout out to Raquinho for everything that he does. Well, we let you know we won't be here on Thursday, but check us out on Monday. And until we meet again, if you're here, it's because you found us on youtube.com/@Lacuna Galaxiana. Thank you so much for doing so. Go ahead and check us out on our socials. There's, Ananda, we have a week off now, so I know some big news is going to drop in that week, and that's just our luck, right? But whatever drops, if there's a new G to go ahead and talk to you about, we'll go ahead and talk to you about that on Monday when we're back. We thank you so much for listening to another episode and hanging out. It really is humbling that you spent some time with us, and we love you for it. Until we meet again, one thing left to say: G's up! I los watcho.